In my last epic video, I discussed why FNAF 1 was good, but today we're gonna invert that and discuss why FNAF 2 is awful.
Huh? Oh, I'm saying it!
Right, okay, for fuck's sake, I'm not a FNAF channel, okay?
That's not FNAF!
Such a difficult day.
This isn't gonna be a running series, I promise. When I was making the first video, I kept comparing the good shit of that game to the awful shit of this game. But I had so much to talk about, I had to relegate it to this semi-sequel. You could even maybe say a sister video. Here, I'll further be elaborating on why the second game in the series as a whole isn't scary. Obviously, a lot of what I say will rely on you watching the first video, where I explain why the first game is the only game in the series to be actually scary. So please go and do that first. But in this video, I'll be explaining why the second FNAF game is an absolute failure on just about every level. Quick, bring the animated avatar out of ice and crop the Markiplier reaction gifs as I explain why FNAF 2 is the worst game in the series. In this vid, I won't be sucking off Scott Cawthon like I did last time, instead I'll be biting his dick off. So, whilst all the original games are now remembered with this ironic fondness, surprisingly enough, the second game seems to have this reputation of being the pinnacle of the series and the best game Scott made.
But the second game goes there because I legitimately think it's the best Five Nights at Freddy's game. Every aspect of the gameplay is used. It kicked off a way of storytelling that was insane at the time and still is.
Surprisingly, I will be disputing this opinion. So if any diehard FNAF 2 fans disagree, don't leave a comment. Words cannot describe how little I value your opinion. But in all seriousness, the only thing I'm criticizing here is how the game addresses horror. I can still appreciate the importance that this game has to the franchise.
I just simultaneously
The first game was an unprecedented success for Scott. It was the first major viral horror game. I say major because since games like Amnesia and Slender, horror games have spread like wildfire across YouTube and the larger internet. But FNAF exceeded all prior franchises in popularity, breaking into popular culture and has stuck around as a valuable IP to this very day. Oh, look at that, it even got its own mediocre high-budget spin-off.
Terrible job!
Seeing the incredible success, Scott scrambled to capitalize off his newly fertile cash cow. Sorry, I mean the meticulous story he had planned out was ready for its second installment. The entire development took only 2 months, like, holy shit, slow down, fella. He shat out the edgiest fucking trailer I've ever seen.
Connection terminated.
And boom, November 11th, FNAF 2. From the very first tease of the game, we can see that this isn't going to be as scary as the first. All you need to do is take one glance at the I'll reiterate how the design of the animatronics in the first game was perfect. They were wholly believable child mascots, thus making it unsettling when they suddenly began acting strange. FNAF 2 has twice as many robotic adversaries, and they all suck. The first group are the new toy animatronics. They were used in most of the marketing, and when you look up FNAF 2, they clearly are the symbolic face of the game. These are single-handedly the least scary and awfully designed horror antagonists I think I've ever seen in my life. Thematically and visually, they're meant to be upgrades of the originals. They look more advanced, cleaner, and as a result, not grounded in reality at all. Oh god, no, he's gonna schizo rant about grounded design again. Scott evidently didn't understand what made the classic design scary. The toy animatronics are so clearly trying to be uncanny, dead-eye killer robots that any tension as to what they might do to you is gone. It's edgy as fuck. Chica removes her beak just to give herself a sinister grin. That's so badass. She's so hot.
She is such a bad bitch, though. I will fuck the shit out of that robot, man. I'm not even...
They represent the departure the series took from the enemies being animatronics to just robots. They have facial recognition software. Like, what? I don't want to make the point why man returned to night shift, but by adding shit like that, you invite people to point out how contrived everything is. The balloon lad belongs in the toy category as well. I don't actually think there was even an attempt to make him scary in this horror game. He seems more intended to be annoying and a forced meme, something Scott is somewhat known for attempting. In the first game, things were kept very vague as to why the animatronics were moving. Something about their servos locking up. Here, we are straight up told they wander around, and this is normal. Okay, no problem. The withered animatronics are literal bastardizations of the original cast.
But if you close your eyes...
They're meant to be more decayed and broken down versions of their FNAF 1 counterparts. I know they're earlier incarnations of the originals, don't you dare type that comment. They go way too far into the ooh, scary robots trope that the originals were able to avoid. The originals were big, clunky 90s animatronics. This contrasted with the paranormal silence and bursts of sentience of what's scary about them. The FNAF 2 cast just doesn't have this balance. Instead, they're so decayed you can plainly see what they are. Just robots.
He's more machine now than man. Twisted and...
They fart towards you, silently going straight for the kill and usually failing. The withered animatronics are also subtle redesigns of the originals.
But if you close your eyes...
Comparing the two, you can see the subtle differences. The added teeth, changed head shape, generally the more angular design, is an attempt to make them more human, proportionally. What the fuck? Why would you do that? The crazy new wild card is the puppet. The design is still a bit Slender Man. I feel there was some lost potential with the concept of a creepy puppet, but honestly, the reveal and execution of the character is one of the things the game does well. If you play the game right, you should never actually see the puppet. All you get is a vague description and a warning not to let it out.
It doesn't seem to affect all of the animatronics, but it does affect one of them.
And if it does get out, there is no way of stopping it. I appreciate the ballsy game design, and seeing it rise out of the box is great. You can see it glitching and shit briefly on the cams once it's out, which is great in making it feel like an unstoppable, unimaginable horror, similar to Golden Freddy from the first game. Oh shit, Golden Freddy.
Look how they massacred my boy.
He appears in the office in the exact same position as the first game, redesigned of course, and can be dispersed by putting on the mask. The way he fades away, ironically takes away so much of the mystery and tension surrounding him. In the first game, he just appears and disappears miraculously, leaving no clue as to whether he was a real animatronic or some kind of spirit. But here, oh, he's a ghost, okay, bye-bye. Sometimes, looking down the hallway, you see his giant head hidden in the shadows, like the fucking Wario apparition. If this was the only time you see Golden Freddy, I think it would actually have been kind of spooky. It's so hard to see and it's such a bizarre visual, the panic it would cause could be really effective. The jump scare is seemingly an update on the old yellow bear death screen. The mask shoots towards you and plays like any other regular jump scare, removing what made the original game-crashing, distorted screamer so special.
Michael, don't leave.
The replacement for the super rare mystery characters is now filled by the Shadow animatronics. Shadow Freddy just sits there and acts super fucking scary, and Shadow Bonnie appears in the office and silently crashes the game.
You get out of there. Oh my god! What the fuck was that?
Right, Scott, you got the mysterious part. What is Shadow Bonnie? Why is he there? You just forgot to make him remotely fucking scary. I'm not even mentioning this twat. In the first game, every animatronic played a key role in gameplay. Here, some characters have identical mechanics and attack directions, but only exist to advertise, wow, we have more animatronics. This pushes the player to think less about defending themselves from each animatronic, e.g. have I checked Bonnie, where's Chica, and instead just complete tasks to cover each point of attack. Moral of the story here is that there are way too many characters and way too much shit going on. In the first game, it feels like you're being slowly hunted by 4 silent, ghostly machines, whilst in the second game, it feels like you're in the middle of a fucking war zone, the amount of shit going on. So, the pizzeria in the first game felt grimy and claustrophobic. Here we have a clean, huge, and well-lit abomination of a fucking building. What the fuck is that? Everything is now very clean. This makes the entire place feel a lot less eerie. I'm not saying PNG of a cobweb is scary, but imagine sitting alone in a rundown hotel at night compared to being stuck in Tesco at 3 a.m. Every room feels wide open, including your new office, now lit by a huge central light. The size of the room you're sitting in really demonstrates the issues with the 2D click team backgrounds. The dim lighting of your original office somewhat reduced the visible warping of the screen, but here you can clearly see how flat everything is. The light also really takes away from any mystery the animatronics may have had. When they're stood in the office, you get a full, clear look at them, instead of the obscured, shadowy stare we got in the original. The issue with this is it just highlights how the animatronics are teleporting from room to room and not actually moving. The first game tries to conceal this. When you shut the door or turn off the light, you can no longer see the animatronics, so it makes sense that they're able to seemingly disappear. Here, they stand in the middle of your office, waiting a few seconds for you to slip on the mask, and then literally just teleport out of there. It just highlights that it's just game AI resetting for another attack. The doors were also solid defensive tools. The animatronics remained threatening because a fuck-off massive steel door was needed to stop them. Here, you, the player, are tricking and delaying them with a mask and flashlight, making them feel like Goombas that mindlessly attack and need to be thwarted.
And I'm telling you, if you're not watching the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, you're gonna turn into a...
The other major issue with the animatronics appearing in the middle of your room is that it immediately telegraphs a jump scare. For a jump scare to work, it has to be either somewhat unexpected or tension needs to be built beforehand. The pure chaos of the game doesn't allow for much tension to be built, so everything's kind of banking on the surprise. You see them and either get mask jump scared or they magically vanish and wait for you to pull up the cameras. Oh yeah, the drifting across the screen thing also looks so stupid. And it's a symptom of the bad office design. Obviously making the animatronics appear to move is a hard thing to do in the game's engine. So unless specifically animated, it just looks a bit silly.
Are you seriously watching porn by yourself?
I think this is where the series began to see criticism for the use of jump scares. In the first game, the creepy atmosphere and uncanny visuals made the jump scare feel deserved and a warranted payoff for the mounting tension. Whereas here, and in later games, without any other form of tension or horror, they essentially just serve as the game over screen, when you don't do X action quick enough or forget to check Y. The Certified Gentleman epic surfing vids made this mock-up of an unlit office, and I have to say, it looks like it would work incredibly well. Without proper office lights, the room gives the vibes of being in a school or public building after dark. Something creepily relatable to everyone. A big change to the pizzeria is also the ability to shine a flashlight on every camera. I assume this was done as a response to how hard the animatronics were to spot in some screens in the original, but this basically just creates a new problem in an attempt to solve one. Most rooms will now be completely black without a flashlight to see what's going on. Something great was lost when we no longer had to scan the screen to find those sneaky fuckers lurking in the shadows. Finding them is no longer an issue, but instead you have to push one arbitrary button to enable the search feature. The pizzeria also has far less creepy paranormal shit going on. There isn't any "it's me" style stuff, nor are there posters and newspaper clippings changing every 5 seconds. I think the biggest thing is the moving paper plate guy. Wow, what a mystery. Who put him there? Oh my god. So this game is the lore game. The one that shot FnaF from whatever the fuck MatPat was talking about here.
Odd for what we would assume to be a male animatronic. Maybe it's a reference to Colleen being a girl.
To this. This is all down to these funky little 8-bit mini-games that all follow the same pattern of being simple games that slowly degrade and have a dark twist at the end. Here we first meet the man of the hour, Purple Guy. This fucking asshole is single-handedly responsible for catapulting the game into the mainstream and finalizing the transition of FNAF from something intended to be scary into a narrative-driven mystery game with horror elements. Some of the games are actually quite creepy. I think Give Life goes a little bit too hard, but the minimal presence of the purple male, just his appearance implying the death of children, is a great way to let the player imagine what horrible things have occurred in Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. The vague mystery is also helped by how shit the minigames intentionally are. As the games go on, the minigames get more and more advanced, but here, instead of a figure shrouded in darkness, he's shrouded by the shit graphics. You can barely even make out that he's there some of the time. I mean, I call it a mystery, and people certainly treated it like a mystery, but it's pretty simple, and a fucking dipshit could figure out the implied message. Man kills puppet, ergo puppet jump scare. Man kills 4 kids, ergo 4 kids dead. Puppet puts kids into suits, ergo what the fuck we're being shown right here. Golden Freddy is weird as normal, and there, I just solved FNAF. Oh, there's also the big prequel twist.
Now this is part.
This certainly is a twist that nobody saw coming on account of it making absolutely no fucking sense. Okay, fine, I'm not going to criticize the timeline or be like, robots seem a bit advanced for the 90s, innit? I do have to respect Scott for putting in such a ballsy twist, and you can see the fun he had when giving an Oscar-worthy performance revealing the murders from the first game just happened.
The place is closed down, at least for a while. Someone used one of the suits. We had a spare in the back, a yellow one. Someone used it. Now none of them are acting right.
After the reception of this game and the massive adoption of lore theories, Scott just fell off the deep end. I think he recognized that the gameplay changes resulted in a game that wasn't actually scary like the first one was. So for the third and fourth, he attempted to slow down the pace of gameplay and bring back certain features, such as unexpected jump scares and darker environments. As we know, the lore got away from Scott a bit, and he began to crumble under the weight of the story people expected him to tell. This is why every other game is saturated with lengthy minigames and meaningless details that were meant to be ripped apart and analysed by the community. Regardless, the games Scott made would continue to influence indie horror to this very day, with every dev believing they need to have a deep and hidden lore for the audience to decipher. Otherwise, what material would MatPat have to make his 2-part video? Fucking whimsical place with evil human soul and not human things is ridiculous. Please, feel free at any point to exercise a modicum of fucking originality. Sorry, I don't mean to be harsh. I have a lot of hatred in my soul. Everyone is trying to be the next FNAF, but until someone tries something different than what FNAF did, we're never going to get a game series that will reach the heights Five Nights at Freddy's was able to reach.